Hi, welcome to Shimeen's Business. Now, for any business, visibility is good. While in this day and age of social media, you can create your own visibility on social media, it's also good to be featured in the press. But for small businesses who cannot afford a PR agency, uh, what can I do to ensure that I do get featured in the press? To answer that question, on a Saturday morning, we dragged Forum Dalal to our office to answer that question for you. But first, I'm going to let her introduce herself.
I'm a journalist with 13 years of experience, and since the last 1.5 years, I've quit my job and I'm freelancing. So I work with newspapers, magazines, as well as online websites, and I write on food, travel, and lifestyle.
Oh, great.
Yes.
Great. So I wanted to ask you, this is actually my first question, that how do I decide? I don't have a PR agency,
Sure.
and I have a small business, and I think I'm doing well, and I want to be featured in the press.
Yeah.
How do I decide whom I should reach out to?
So first of all, before you decide who you want to reach out to, you should kind of take a look at what you're doing,
Right.
and try and categorize what section your story fits into.
Okay.
So for example, if you're doing a fashion business, then of course then you have to kind of look at, you should also read up what the fashion magazines,
Yeah.
newspapers, and even websites are printing. So you should know what kind of stories are done, and then you will be able to connect that, hey, oh, even I have this, or
Okay.
if there's because all the time your business, sometimes the focus will not always be your business. Like there is a story in your business that we are looking for.
Okay.
So that's the place where I think I would start if it was my business.
So I need to read up a lot on. So basically, you're saying you need to read up print.
Yeah,
and then
you need
figure
to know
out
what kind of
Yeah.
what sells, like what is the draw, because as a journalist, when I'm looking for a story, I need a hook. We call it a peg, which we have to kind of we have to really sell our story to our editors, because
Right.
they need to kind of be convinced,
Oh.
what am I writing about and why am I writing about it now. So that's
Okay.
your peg. Why now? Always question why now and what's new. So if
Okay.
you can answer these two questions, then it's a good way to start.
Okay, so basically look at my business, figure out what my strengths are, figure out
Sure.
what my weaknesses are, what
Yeah.
makes me different, and then pitch that to you.
Right.
Okay, now any journalist
Right.
would be getting, let's say, hundreds of mails
Yeah.
every day. Feature me,
Yes.
cover
Yeah,
me,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So how do I ensure that you read me? So
Right.
what should I write to you? Okay, or how should I ensure that you actually take an interest in what?
Yeah. So okay. So the thing is that you don't really need a PR to give you that visibility, and it's in fact very organic to be your own PR, because you know your brand. Nobody
Exactly.
else knows it more than you do. But you have to look at it with an unbiased eye. Like you should know your weaknesses. So once you and your you should know what will sell. So
Right.
you can't say, oh, I have a jewelry line and it's awesome. That doesn't work.
So within that, you need to figure out
Yeah.
what it is that I can actually talk about.
Yeah. So for example, look at your sourcing. Are you getting something from somewhere which nobody else is? Understand your market and understand understand your industry. Who's your competition and what are they doing?
Right.
And once you've studied that, you will be able to know, hey, but I'm doing this differently. So if you keep that in mind, that's your story.
Okay.
And also as a journalist, for me, I'm always looking out for a backstory. So of course the business is set, but what was the story behind it? Like, are you from a finance background, now starting a cafe? I'm always looking for that human interest story, and if there's one, then
Nothing like it.
nothing like
it.
yeah.
I get what you're
And
saying.
people like to read about people, and through that, the story of your brand kind of comes in naturally. So that's a good thing.
That's something even I believe in.
Yeah.
I always feel that people want to read about the people, about
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
who you are, what is your story,
Sure.
why you started.
Right.
So these are various
Right.
pictures that you can actually use, so one way of being featured is, of course, being featured. This is who
Right.
I am and this
Sure.
is what I do. But apart from that, what else can I be featured in? So industry stories, of course,
Right.
is one. But how else do I ensure that I get what are the other various ways in which, apart from just a story on me, which is like
Right.
a full feature on me, what are the other things that can be done?
So you should in India we have so many holidays and so
Right.
many festivals.
Right.
So you should kind of gauge when does your business do really well and when is your business required.
Okay.
So for example, if it's a decor store, of course it's required round the year, but people tend to want to do up their house for a party, for a birthday, maybe
Festive
Diwali,
occasions, yeah.
Christmas.
Yeah.
So during that time, we always newspapers will always be looking to do stories on trends, on the color of the season, on fabrics of the season, all of that. So you can kind of you should pace yourself. So if I know Diwali is coming up, you should try and start getting in touch with people 1 month before, or even 3 weeks before is a good time. And you should also kind of make your own notes, like do your own study. If you think that this is the color of the season, kind of like no one expects you to author an article, but if you know your direction, you can sell your story better.
So basically, I'm actually helping a journalist out by giving her inputs, because I
Yes,
know she'll be doing
exactly,
stories on this,
exactly.
and this is what my product is, and this is how I can actually
Yeah.
help her, because I know these kind of stories are actually going
Yeah.
to happen. Good point.
So I may not. So for example, if someone writes to me and I'm not interested, in the first go, or I'll be like, okay, but there's always recall value.
yes.
Then you always kind of, as journalists, we are always connecting dots. Oh, who can I speak to for what story?
Okay.
So if I may, not like just because you don't get immediate response.
Feature.
It's a nice way to keep in touch. Like you should keep. So also there is a if you mail somebody on a Monday,
Right.
you give them a week or 10 days to get back.
Right.
And after that, whenever you do a follow-up mail, you have to study the response.
Right.
So if it's somebody, if somebody says that, hey, this is interesting, but I'm not doing something about it, then you have to respect that. But then when you write to them again, give them some more ideas, or tell them what you're up to. So for example, if you get funding, so that's great news, right? So you have all the right to write to the journalist again.
Am I being a pest if I'm continuously writing and putting, because
So
she may or may not be,
Yeah.
at
So
that
there
point
are
in
people
time.
who write to me every day the same mail, so that's a pest. But if you're writing to me with your updates, you have all the right to do that.
Okay.
So now if I have a barrage of emails in my inbox, that's not you don't have to worry about that. You have to worry about what are you sending me. So if you're sending me something that really doesn't interest me, do it once. Like if you're sending the same mail again and again, then that gets to me, but that's part and parcel of.
How do I build a long-term relationship
Yes.
with you?
So I think that slow and steady wins the race.
Yeah.
I've realized that, because when someone writes to me, there are, of course, we have our own schedule, we have our own stories we are chasing, so we kind of tend to forget. So if you write to me again after 10 or 15 days, that recall value is built, and then you may not get a response immediately, but some people will tell you that, hey, what, this doesn't work for us, and they'll try and give you a reason. So you have to, you can kind of say that, hey, is it all right if I keep in touch? I'd like to keep you updated on what I'm doing. So just a regular conversation like you have on
Just
email.
build a slow,
yeah,
long-term
yeah, but
relationship with you.
don't bombard.
So
or
every time, I put up something on my social media, or I put up an article
Sure.
on my blog or website, I should not say, okay, read this. No. So
Yeah.
from what I understand from you, I need to read press a little bit
Sure.
more, figure out who writes about my industry.
Yeah, you should
Or-
know. Yeah.
yeah.
Like it doesn't make sense. Like if you're in the tech field, it doesn't make sense writing to somebody who writes on food.
Yeah.
It's of no use at all,
Yeah.
unless you're writing to them and asking them for contacts. So whenever somebody tells you that, hey, look, this is not my interest, it's not my beat, you should. That's a great opportunity to ask them, hey, can you give me contacts?
Right.
Who is the right person to get in touch with? And nobody hesitates giving an email ID.
Right.
You may not get a cell number directly, but people are ready to share email IDs. So like for example, I'll always pass it on to somebody I know who covers the beat, because they are the best judge. I may think that, hey, I don't want to write about it,
But somebody else may
you
require
never
that
know.
story.
Yeah, you never know.
So you're saying figure out the right people
Yeah.
and then write to them with a very interesting angle. I'm
Yeah.
just trying to encapsulate up to
Sure.
what you said. Write to them with a very interesting
Right.
angle, which is something that may be of importance
Sure.
now, or
Yeah.
a backstory about you, or
Sure.
something really that makes you
Sure.
different. So, for example, I may have a venture or a business which is not very different.
Right.
I could be making desserts, right?
That's fine.
But I could find something different about
Yeah.
the way I started,
Sure.
or something that I'm sourcing, or something,
Sure.
some little thing that I'm doing differently.
Sometimes what tends to happen is that because we are working on something, we don't realize that it could be of interest as a story. In the sense, it could be one ingredient or it could be one source.
Right.
So, for example, you are sourcing your ingredients from a, from a rare,
Right.
from a farmer, or it's something that nobody else is doing. Then that's your.
I think the idea is to
Highlight.
look at yourself and your venture and figure out what it is that would interest people. So press, of course, is extremely important.
Right.
And you're saying that not so much PR. If I know my business really well, I can sort of reach
Right.
out to PR also. But but press is important, right?
It is very.
Digital is so big these days,
Yeah.
So, but you're saying that press also is
Yeah.
important.
Meaning, you mean to say traditional
Print, yes,
Yeah.
traditional print.
Yeah.
I should be featured in traditional
Yeah.
print as well.
Yeah, and
Okay.
also because all the newspapers today have online presence, so they are sharing your story as well, and so whatever is printed goes online as well, in the form of your e-papers, as well as the websites cover it. So
Right.
it's a good, and also I think it's a good medium to start, because they say that there's so much out there online.
Yes.
And when you talk about a newspaper, it has been curated. There's an editor who's kind of justifying why that story needs that space. So I'll always be for print.
Right.
Yeah.
For print.
And also another, I'm just jumping,
Yeah,
but
sure.
one thing that comes in my mind is that you have to digital presence is very important. So you should, like, if people are on social media, they're on Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram. So it's like, even with Insta stories today, there is so much buzz for
Yeah.
but it's not bad to do it, I think, because that's how your circle of friends also, like your followers, know what you're doing. And you never know the word of mouth power.
Yeah.
So you should always, like, of course your friends are not going to share that for you, not everyone will, but just having an online presence, and also follow hashtags. That's the new
So I think that about covers it all. Thank you so much for being on She Means Business. This is one interview that a lot of people were waiting for. So thank you so
my
much.
pleasure.
Because it's true. We know we need visibility, but at times you don't know how to go about it,
Right.
right? And while we all post Instagram stories and do a little bit with Facebook,
Sure.
I think being in the press lends you a lot of authenticity,
It does.
and so much more people
Yeah,
come to
it
know
does.
about you. So thank you so much for being
Thank
on She
you.
Means Business.
And all the best.
Thank you. Until next time, stay
Thank you.
tuned, stay happy, and stay focused. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Do also follow us on Facebook. And to know more about what we do, visit our website. And don't forget to share this video with your friends.